Hey, welcome to Graphic Policy Television, GPTV. I'm Brett. In my hands is The Lion and the Eagle, #2, an oversized comic published by AfterShock, written by Garth, Ennis, art by PJ Holden, Matt Milla is the colorist, and Rob Steen is the letterer. So this story is continues kind of Holden and Ennis's run on doing military stories, on war stories. This one's focused in World War II. There's a unit of British soldiers. They have some other units with them, and they're fighting in Burma, taking on the Japanese, with, not the Japanese, but the British have some allies they're working with as well, Americans and Chinese. And it's interesting, like, we get a lot of strategy in this. It's a very dry story that kind of eventually builds. It's a fascinating comic. The art is pretty decent. It's almost dry and boring at times. Like, I think you really have to appreciate military stories to really dig this. And I mean, what it reminds me a lot of is like the old school war movies my father used to watch and my grandfather used to watch on Sundays. That I thought it was a little bit boring, that the pacing wasn't quite there for me, but I appreciate it and I liked aspects of it. And I think that's what my general thought is about this, is I appreciate it and I like aspects about it, but just for me, like, there's a lot of talk of getting orders and maneuvers and getting in the right positions. And I have a feeling like if you know more about the front and this particular battle, then you might appreciate the comic and the story a bit more. It's interesting. There's a point somewhere, I don't remember if it's inside or wherever, but it outright says, like, this is just a bit of a war that, like, no one remembers and no one talks about. And that's what it kind of feels like. But, there's a lot of interesting stuff. It goes into the Gurkhas. There's some of the maneuvers that they do to kind of move troops around. I mean, there's a lot of detail and interesting things that I think fans of war comics and war stories would appreciate. It's just a little lost on me. Like, again, I appreciate it, understand it, but, like, it's not exciting and fun. I think the art, to me, is good. It still continues to be really solid art. This one gets a bit more what I was kind of expect for an Ennis comic, with blood flying all over at times, but it's interesting. There's times it feels very held back, and the other times you're just like, yeah, that's what I would expect. There's also racism. It's British guys talking about Japanese. They're using slurs here and there. Not too shocking. It's of the time. So yeah, to me, this is one that's really for the people who appreciate this type of comic. I don't think a casual reader who maybe doesn't know the history or isn't really interested in military aspects is going to really like it, but you never know. Out in comic shops now, you can go get it. We got a link beneath this video. Put in your zip code, tell the comic shops near you. No shop, no problem. We do have some links where you can purchase your own. There'll be affiliate links, so we do get a small percentage. By doing that, y'all support our site, so thank you. And speaking of support, I want to thank AfterShock for hooking us up with the review copy, and of course, thank you all for watching. If you are into comics, if you're into AfterShock, check us out every single day at graphicpolicy.com. We're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Tumblr, all at Graphic Policy, keeping it nice and consistent. Until next time, keep reading those comics, and keep it geeky. Hey, thanks for watching the previous video from Graphic Policy Television. Just by watching, you help support our site. Thank you so much. Now, if you're watching these videos, you probably care about geeky things like movies, television, comic books, toys, games, video games, you name it. You can go and subscribe right now to our YouTube channel to stay in touch and catch all the new videos, or check out our website at graphicpolicy.com. There's a nice link on this end of the video. But as always, thank you for watching. Keep on rocking and keep it geeky.